I'm Georgie.
And I'm Anna.
And we're part of the Building Babies' Brains team. And we'd like to tell you just a little bit about Pass It On.
So what is Pass It On? There's the question.
It is the question, isn't it? So we talk about this a lot. So Pass It On is the idea of building a shared understanding about what babies and toddlers need during the first 1001 days of their life. Parental well-being, and really it was about a wish to share those messages, wasn't it? Those kind of simple and important science-based messages.
And encouraging people to be purposeful and deliberate about passing them on, so it becoming part of their everyday and building confidence, so it becomes part of their everyday way of being, isn't it?
Yeah, so anybody can share those messages about what babies need for their emotional and social well-being.
And any messages.
Yes.
Pass on any part of their training could be passed on and not keep it to ourselves.
Yeah. So Pass It On isn't just about building babies' brains, but that's how we're using it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's around that idea that for us it takes a village to grow a child, but actually for anything you're doing, it is that community idea approach of sharing information, any information out into the community, isn't it, by being purposeful and deliberate of passing it on.
And for us it was really important that the whole approach for building babies' brains and Pass It On was based in science, wasn't it? So Pass It On comes from diffusions of innovation theory, which doesn't kind of mean a lot, does it?
No,
really?
But it's a lovely idea in that I pass something on to Georgie, and Georgie might pass it on to another person who might pass it on to another person, and it might pass on. So you get this tree of people passing information out. And it comes through those conversations that people are having or passing on Facebook messages, doesn't it? Every day.
Yeah, and it builds that kind of common understanding.
Absolutely.
Doesn't it?
Absolutely.
But we didn't come about it easily as an idea, did we? It was a kind of a journey of lots of different conversations to come to find diffusions of innovation theory and then to call it Pass It On.
So how did it come about then?
I think it was lots of things, wasn't it? For me, I'd read a book called The Tipping Point by Malcolm Gladwell, which talks about diffusions, exactly what you just said about that tree of sharing. We really liked the idea of random acts of kindness, didn't we?
And that partly ties into the idea that actually Pass It On is a kind thing to do. We're not doing this as a judgmental way. It's meant to be coming from alongside somebody. So it's the kindness, so that that act of kindness fits really nicely, doesn't it, with the idea behind Pass It On?
Yeah, definitely. And it's always empathetic, isn't it?
Yeah,
and it's
absolutely.
And one of the strange things that kind of fed into the idea, one of those things you don't necessarily always expect to, was a film, Pay It Forward, which was about random acts of kindness by people in communities, some of whom might know each other and some of whom
it's a good film as well, isn't it?
It's a very good film, isn't it? It's a very good film.
So I wonder why, I'm wondering the approach, how do we think about people passing the message on? We've talked about empathy, haven't we? We've talked about it coming from that place of being kindness, and we've talked about, I suppose it's that idea that it becomes your way of being, becomes part of what you do, and you gain confidence the more you try it out, you give it a go, passing bits on.
And we hear from our champions that it works for them, actually, and when they start with us, they're kind of really unsure about what is it and how it works, but we know from talking to them and from some bits of research that when they share something purposely and deliberately and kindly with parents, carers, their family, that they kind of see it land with people, don't they? And they see it make a difference.
And they also find it makes a difference to them. So that's the really powerful thing. It's this big circle that you share a piece of information that you see lands, but actually it lands back with you and you feel that, do you know what, I've made a difference. And we talk about patting yourself on the back at that moment, but it's that idea that by passing it on, you're supporting somebody else to gain a message, but also actually you're really giving yourself something as well, aren't you?
You talk about the hormones that are released as part of
the
process,
chemicals, and that idea that you can have that serotonin, those really good chemicals released in your body, which is why you then build confidence and go and try and do it more, because your body will start searching for those good feel chemicals.
And I think the other thing we always say when we're with people is you're doing it already. We're not saying to do anything different. We're just kind of raising it to your conscience and encouraging you to pass it on.
Yeah, and be purposeful and deliberate.
Yeah. So
pass it on.
It is, pass it on. Thank you for listening to us.
Thank you.